Okay, we'll make a start. Questions from the floor. Who wants to be first? The hand up here, Paul.
Thanks. I just wanted some clarification around the figure of £100,000 a year. Is that a fixed amount for the 99-year term? Something 99 years, £100,000 won't be very much money at all.
Yeah, this is fixed. It's going to be £100,000 today, and in 99 years it's going to be still £100,000.
Sounds like a good deal.
Okay, any more questions? Yep.
It does sound like a very good deal, as the gentleman said. I was just wondering why the current agreement wouldn't allow us back in the Football League. It's supposed to do with that.
The current agreement was signed for, I think it was 14 years or 15 years. And what happens is the Football League's rules basically stipulate that you need security of tenure for in excess of 10 years. So as we drop now into the 9th year, it means that we cannot provide that guarantee of long-term football.
Clive.
I'd just like to know what commitment we've made to taking on staff from the university in respect of the ground staff. Are we taking them part-time for the football club because they're obviously employed by the university to maintain colliers? What kind of catering staff are we taking over? Are we providing a catering manager ourselves? What kind of commitments in that respect?
Okay, Clive, if I answer that one. So any transfer of operations in this way, it's a business-to-business transfer, so that gets covered by legislation called TUPE. And at this stage, we're still working with Glendower on that process, because as it stands at the moment, we don't know the answer of the vote. So once we know where we are with the vote, then we'll start to work with Glendower and have a consultation process with the affected employees. So I can't give you any, at this point in time, any sort of information on, you know, we are or we're not taking on the vote, but secondly, the first people we should really talk to about things affecting their roles and their careers are the people themselves.
Well, just to follow up on that, I mean, in respect of the yes vote, which I wholly anticipate, you know, have you made provision in the costings for employing these people?
Yes, in short answer, yes.
Thank you, Clive. Question, Alan?
A question for Gavin. If you could just clarify something for me. What do we currently pay for the racecourse ground? I believe it's on a rental match-to-match basis. And how is that? And what's the costing going to be after? It's obviously going to be $100,000 a year. How does that compare, and what extra are we likely to pay?
We start off with a budget of £205,000 per annum, and when we get to the 31st of July, I'll just double check with Mark now. So that's the end of the year for Glendower. They anything above and beyond that, they then come to us and charge us a proportion of the I think the 66%. They charge us that, so it can be. Let's see it. What's the total figure? So it's 270 this year. As an estimate. So if we're looking at this coming July, it will be around 270. So going forward, as I mentioned in the presentation, I'd like to think that we'd be able to get costs under control. So I'd be anticipating that figure to be coming down significantly when we're actually running it. So I would like to get to a position whereby we'd be in the same situation with the freehold as to the licence agreement with the university?
Perhaps not very good, but I haven't quite got that. If you're telling me that we're currently paying 270,000 and we're going to be paying 100,000, I would have thought that with 170,000 better off.
Just to clarify that, the £100,000 is the lease payment for the use of the facility. The 270,000 we estimate that will be this year takes into account all the running costs, so a proportion of the rates, the electricity, etc. Yeah, that'll be on top. Whereas under the lease proposal is we'd be responsible for paying them. However, there will be certain elements in there where contracts where hopefully we can, as Gavin mentioned, cost management, we can hopefully negotiate better rates. Maybe do it through more friendly contractors. As you know, we've got 4,000 members. There may be people in there with the skills that could help us out with actually fulfilling some of the costs. Also, we've never cut corners or nothing like that, but we've shown for our membership, and I'll probably just mention, like Pete's mentioned, our solicitors, like we've got a legal person who works for us for free. So there are people out there that can help this club, help us manage this business, and also be able to negotiate contracts. We're not restricted with the university being not a public body, so there's limited to what contractors you use. We try to get people to do work. When we did the club shop, I've used people where I work, and I want to use them because I know their costs and how they work. They've got all the qualifications, but they never had a construction line, and so we couldn't use them. So we won't be restricted in anybody who we can use, as long as they are qualified to do the work and meet all health and safety inspections that are required for any contract that comes into any business anyway. So that's the opportunity we have here. Whereas under current arrangements, the university will just do it, and then we pick up the thing. And the landscape has changed for the university from what it was probably about 2 years ago as well, and how they approach that. And our fear was next year the cost could be a lot higher.
There's a couple of questions. Oh, sorry, Nick. I'll come to you gentlemen in a minute. Oh, sorry, Nick. I'll come to you in a minute. You want to say something?
Can I just ask why the lease is to be transferred to WST Assets Limited rather than the trust itself?
Hello. I think the rationale is that we wanted to keep the property in a self-contained vehicle to keep it safe from predatory hands. I think the trust wouldn't be an appropriate body to hold the property, so the choice was a separate company or the football club itself. And I think having the property in the football club itself leaves it exposed to what happened to us historically, the Gutterman and Hamilton. It's ring-fenced. You've noted the two amendments in the resolutions are to make sure the shares in that company and the property can't be sold without full member consent, which again is a deliberate attempt to ring-fence and protect the key asset of the football club. And our key home, not just an asset, it's actually something we all love and want to remain as part of Wrexham's fabric in perpetuity.
Obviously, to the panel, I think it's a great idea, but just going back to Colliers Park, obviously the youngsters that's coming through the club, run by Joey Jones, etc. What will happen with Colliers Park? Who's going to sustain the cost there? What's going to be involved? Are the kids going to go? Because I think they're a major part of the club.
No decision has been made on Colliers Park, Nick. What we've done is, because we had a deadline of 31st of March to actually get some signatures down on the agreement, what we decided to do is just focus on the racecourse. We have actually started today talking to the university about Colliers, and that's something that the same team will be progressing over the next few weeks. But as such, no decision has been made on Colliers.
Cheers, Nick. Just to reassure people, we've got a plan B in place whereby I've been talking to another organisation locally who've agreed in principle that if necessary, and we don't use Colliers Park, but we'd love to, we can actually use their facilities, so we'll be able to keep the programme running, which we currently have. And that if we have to use that, that's in place.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Paul, I think Mervyn at the back. Mervyn, did you want to ask a question?
Hello there. Say you've come to...
You put it closer to your mouth, Mervyn. It is on.
Is that better? That's better. Just want to know, have you got anybody in mind for the name of the ground and the stands? Or haven't you gone that far yet? I know you're going to have the votes tonight, but I presume because you've seen to plan so far in advance, whether you've got anybody...
No, the name of the ground, changing the name of the ground, that hasn't even been discussed. Obviously, once it's all signed and negotiations can start, I'm sure many people in this audience have got ideas of what going to be called, or the commercial, and there's the commercial aspect as well. Is it Racecourse Ground or Racecourse Stadium? Which one do you prefer? But sponsored by, obviously, that's a commercial aspect which will be carried on.
The shirts for next season?
Shirts, I can answer. Jeff Scott is currently talking to a number of people, a number of companies on shirt sponsorship, and it's very positive feedback on that one as well. Okay. Does somebody else wants to answer? Yeah, sorry. Give you the mic there.
Just going back to the costs, without the improvements that you're hoping to make, what would the cost be per annum?
We have employed accountants to have a look at the costs of it. It's really difficult to really, because there'll be certain contracts that we'll take on. Certain contracts will automatically expire when we take over. Stuff like electricity will automatically, so whatever Glendower we're paying is not what we will pay because it'll be a separate contract. We probably reckon, it's a difficult one because we did this when we took on the football club back in 2011. We had the old football club's accounts, and I think we had, from memory, it was 250,000 for the both facilities. Obviously, inflation has kicked in from that, but as you know, with electricity at the moment, that has gone the other way, whereas rates and everything will go up. So we're just working through them as it is now. But safe to say, we'll go through everything we're trying to see what any duplicate costs or anything that can be missed out. There'll be certain things that we can't ignore, like licenses for playing of music and things like that. So we are restricted on certain things, but I wouldn't want to put a full estimate until I'm 100%. Not that I can never be 100% on the costs, but until I'm confident enough that I can put a full figure on it. But what I will say is, whatever costs that we are, what the university has intimated to us already next season is that the costs will be a lot higher if we on the current agreement. And also there is, although I don't want to start any rumours or anything, it's not that, from reading the press only, there is an element of doubt of the Crusaders continuing in the stadium, and our 66% that we're paying now may be to 80% of the cost if they're not using the facility, because their use of the pitch brings our percentage down in that respect. So there's a lot of variables in there to find out what it is. So what this does, it gives us some control over when we spend it. If there is some cost, we decide not to spend it. We have that choice, whereas in the current arrangement, the university will spend it and then charges a percentage of that. So we've also got that element. And also I think there could be opportunities at the stadium can be used more on a non-match day through the facilities that it has got there at the moment, and also that we have the ability then to market that and sell it how we as best we can to maximise additional revenue, because at the moment any additional revenues from that stadium we want to see the benefit of it. We're sort of limited on what sponsorship we can do to ground balls only. So there's a lot going in there. So that our next step is, if this goes, is be developing a business plan that will confirm all the costs, and then how we're going to maximise the revenue within the stadium as well. So I try don't like not answering a definite yes, but I can't give you 100% final cost at the moment. But what I will say is that we will get on whatever happens. And the difference is we want to have any control on them. So sorry I can't give you a definite figure, but when we do the AGM, I'll be in a lot better position to confirm this, how much our costs will be. Okay.
My question's in two parts. First of all, what proportion of the crop area would we be allowed to develop? And secondly, should we develop it, would that development and any other development within the ground be sufficient to get full international status again?
The portion of the COP area that we can stand. When Wrexham Village acquired the club car park at the time and back of the COP development, the land got split behind there. So and this is from the land registry records for the title, it's basically the boundary of the COP stand as it is now. So from remember being on the COP when it was open, that bank that led up to it, that was sold off to Wrexham Village when the previous owners had control of the stadium. So we're just taking on the title that the university had freehold for, but we are aware there is access as part of that. A deed of easement in place that allows us to have access to the back of the COP. So if we had to put exit gates and turnstiles, you could walk over their land to get access to them. So that is in place. But the title will be taken on is what the university acquired of the football club back in the summer of 2011. So, I'm sorry, the second question?
Would any development of the COP or any other part of the ground enable you to stage full internationals again?
Yes. Again, I'm not fully up to speed on all the requirements for internationals these days. But yes, you'd look to any developments you would do. You'd look to make sure that it can service that, and it covers from everything from the size of benches. Because if you look at internationals now, there's 23 players listed in a team, so you need to have the. So there's a lot of other things that go into it, not just having a COP will solve all problems. So you've got press areas, drug testing rooms, mixed zones and everything like that. So there'll be a lot of, it's not just developing the COP would automatically give you right of an international. And I've been at some international stadiums, I mean, in loose terms of the word, in some countries towards Eastern Europe, and the facilities we got, excluding the press, which you see as a supporter, the racecourse is adequate for that. So there's more than just, and it's things with floodlights as well. They have to be, the lighting from there, the lux levels have to be upgraded, everything, to meet the current requirements of TV companies. So there's a lot going into it. Having the COP would help because it just has more seating area, increases the capacity of the stadium, so it makes it more commercially viable, but it's just more than the COP is required to, I imagine, to satisfy internationals. But that is something once we got control of it, because at the moment we couldn't approach the Welsh FA to do it. If the vote went through yesterday, we'd have the ability to speak with them and say, as the current leaseholders who's got full control of the stadium, what would be required. So that's it does give us, and it may be something we have to start at under 21s or things like that to build that up and going forward.
Spencer, just part 3, please. Can you confirm that we're going to be fully liable for all the maintenance from now on? Secondly, if that's the case, how much do you estimate that's going to be per annum? thirdly, before they're sort of cast off, are they going to do any major maintenance before they hand it over to?
I'll probably start the last question. The stadium will be handed over as seen, as it is now, so that will be the conditions handed to us, because all they can do is provide a stadium that meets the licence requirements, and they said at the moment it's 10,500. Is it 10,500? 10, something like that. So that point of view, and yes, we'll be fully responsible for the maintenance of the stadium after that. So, but as I said before, in a way, we get charged anyway by the university. So, although the difference is we pay the university and they pay the supplier, we could go to the suppliers directly and have at least have the ability then to try and negotiate some terms, some deals differently, have a wider scope of supplies we can use. And we have made, when we do go, we play away games, we have spoken to clubs of similar sizes to get an understanding of who they use for everything from barrier testing to pitch laying and things like that. So it's building up that database of what other clubs use as well. So is that, there's a couple of other questions, I didn't get them all, I've got notepads to make them. So.
Sorry, it was just what you thought the annual cost would be of doing all that.
The pitch, a lot depends really, because some of the stuff is, like for example, I can't give you an exact figure, but I'll just give you an example why. Until we see the Mould Road stand, they failed the barrier testing. The last time that was done, I think, was about 5 years ago. But it won't need to be done now for a longer period of time because it's just done and passed its testing. We did the work on the Gus stand, which we as a club paid for because we had to keep the capacity up. So that wouldn't need doing. So I think we're probably estimating repair costs and things like that. I think it's around £40,000 a year. That would be probably required, and that would include pitch as well. But it covers everything from hygiene units with the toilets and everything. So it's quite a lot for it to. There's a lot of costs in there, which we did some figures on that back in 2011. So we've got something to benchmark against to what the university are paying now. I think so. That's what we'll be working to once we get the if the vote goes yes this evening. And also, the reason why we signed a confidentiality agreement, the university would not let us see all that information unless we actually sign, because they don't want me saying, look, they're paying this for that, because it's commercially confidential between them and their suppliers. So that's what we'll be working through now over the next 6 weeks if the vote goes forward this evening.
Okay, I'm conscious of the time. There's 3 hands up. I'll take those questions now. Okay, and then we're going to have to move on, I'm afraid. Oh, sorry. It's going to be 4 questions because Tony's got the mic in his hand, so I'm not going to stop him talking, am I? Go on, Tom.
Both Peter and Gavin alluded to the fact that the freehold on the racecourse was not up for grabs yet. Would you read anything into that?
No, not really. It's going forward. Who knows? You know, hopefully one day that we can take that on. You know, but yeah, it's just open-ended yet, really. Okay. I've got 3 gentlemen at the back. Sorry, Clive. Just.
You mentioned the pitch, maintenance on the pitch. The pitch isn't perfect, even after all the work that was carried out a couple of years ago. Is there any comeback on the university for further work to be done on that to bring it up to a reasonable playing surface?
There's 2 areas of the pitch which is causing concern at the moment. One was by the MRS stand, which is towards the penalty area at the Cop end. That has been planned. There's going to be extra drainage we're going to be put into that. So that was planned for this summer. And the other bit where it was the under-21s match in November. We did ask the under-21s when they were training if they could do all they call shuttle runs, do them in an area of the pitch by the corner flags, which is not where there's not less play, and they declined to do so, which is they're allowed to, but because of the weather that came that night, it was gale force winds and everything, and since then the grass hasn't grown until now, so that was just going to be repaired naturally in the summer, and then the drainage will be checked out as well. But generally the pitch, the drainage that we've had in the past, we've had games played on there this season, which I'd say 4 games, Macclesfield, Lincoln, Southport, and I can't remember the other one. It was in January. I don't think it would have been played on that pitch if it was for a couple of the last 2 or 3 seasons. So it has had an improvement. There are areas to work on as well.
Just to clarify,
yeah,
we're not liable for the cost to bring it up to the required standard. Again, we don't see sight of the agreement they had with their pitch suppliers. The work they did last summer was, we haven't been charged for that. If it falls outside their contract under the current licensing agreement, we'd have to pay 66% of it. But again, I don't know what's happening also with the concert and everything like that, so what's going to happen with that timing and all that.
There is a clause in the contract for the stereophonic concert which says the pitch must be put back into good condition following the concert in time for the start of the season.
Thank you. One more to the mic to Hugh, so people at the back.
Hopefully can be taken on. Does it affect Collins Park at all, the use of that? Because people are concerned about this, I think.
Collins Park is a separate land registry title document, so it's to be a separate lease agreement if we did go down that route, so that's why it's not on the table this evening. And as Gavin mentioned, we have started discussions with them today about that, so that's why it's not included as part today.
So nothing changes because of this lease of the race course going back. There's no reason why we shouldn't be using that facility next year, is there?
Well, we have to reach an agreement with the people who own it. That's.
You're paying some kind of rent for it.
Yeah, that's included in the service charge we pay at the moment. But then that's all, as I say, up for negotiation. But the reason why it's not here, we're discussing it today. This is a separate title document. If we did reach an agreement with the university and it involved another long-term lease, then we'd call another SGM to come and. Again, it'd be yourselves would make that decision rather than us, because it's too long a commitment for us as a board to take that on. Whereas if we agree to use it like we do now on an annual basis, which forms part of our budget, that all gets approved and we get our budgets approved at the trust AGM. So that's why it's kept like that at the moment. But as Gavin said, we've just started open negotiations with them today about that to see. And as soon as we have an update on that, we will take the appropriate action to contact M&D.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess there's no reason why we shouldn't be playing there. Training there next season is
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Clive, last question from you, yeah? Sorry, just get the mic, yeah? So people at the back here.
Sorry, Pete. The question was just covered by the gentleman behind about the drainage of the pitch. I just wondered whether we got any recourse against the contractor that had done the work.
Okay, thank you, Clive. Right, go on, one quick one as you're leading.
What happens if we don't proceed? If we don't go ahead, do we leave ourselves open to Glyndor selling the lease to someone else?
Right. If it doesn't go ahead, yes, they could actually sell a lease on to anybody else who wanted to get a rental payment off ourselves. And as such, we would then have to negotiate with them if we wanted to get back into the Football League, and if they come into the lease with the idea of actually making profit, they could then obviously charge us a much higher rate than what we're actually paying even now. Exactly.
Just to mention it, if the vote is yesterday, this lease is registered with the land registry. That means, and if the university, I'm not saying they are going to do, sells it to somebody else, which is not us, then our lease follows that, will still be in place. It's untouched. We've still got it for the 99 years, and providing we make the payments on time, then nobody anything can do to evict us out of that thing. Whereas on the licence agreement we got, if the freehold is sold, the licence agreement doesn't follow on to the new person. We'd have to negotiate there and then. So that's the difference between the two. Whereas this is a lease which is in effect registered with the land registry, and a bit like it was when Marston's had the freehold and the club had the leasehold at the stadium. So it's going back to that arrangement back in the 90s in effect.